Hello students, today we will have a discussion on interferometry and interferometer. The first topic we will discuss now is a special type of interferometer that was designed by Michelson, and hence the name of the interferometer is Michelson's interferometer. In your syllabus, though it is said that no analytical calculation for the fringes will be required, however, we'll try to understand the formation of the fringes. Then we'll try to understand the working principle of Michelson interferometer and applications of that in finding the unknown wavelength, as well as the resolving power and limitation of Michelson interferometer. Let me first tell you that what are the main uses of the Michelson interferometer. It can detect some unknown wavelength. It can measure the distance or length. It can study the fine structure of spectral lines, as well as it can measure the refractive index of any unknown medium. So first we have to see about the construction of Michelson interferometer and the working principle of that. First, let us focus on the construction. Michelson interferometer is a type of interferometer whose working principle is based on the division of amplitude. So division of amplitude, it will have the construction of multiple reflection or refraction that we know. So first, let us consider that I am having a broad source here, a broad source of light. S is here. From S, I am having some parallel beam of light. For simplicity of understanding as of now, I am drawing a single line as of now. Parallel beams are coming in this direction. On its path, I am placing one semi-silvered glass plate of a particular thickness. Let us name it G1. This is semi-silvered. This glass plate is semi-silvered, so that light passing through it will suffer partial transmission and partial reflection, and the angle with the horizontal line will be 45 degree, in order to make the reflected ray exactly vertically upwards. The reflected ray from this surface will be vertically upwards, and a part of the ray will be transmitted through. It will suffer a little deviation because it is traveling now through the glass. After that, it will again go horizontal, passing to the other edge. On its path again, I am placing another identical glass plate. As of G1, its name will be G2. This is also another glass plate, G2. But the thing is that G2 is not semi-silvered. It is only a transparent glass plate. What is the use of G2? I will come to that point later. As of now, consider on the reflection and refraction of light. Again, passing through G2, this line will go horizontally towards a particular direction. Now on its path, I am placing one mirror. Let this name of the mirror be M2. A mirror is placed on its path exactly vertically upwards, and I am placing another mirror here, and the name of this mirror will be M1. Two mirror arrangements. First, concentrate on this transmitted ray. The transmitted ray from this plate G1 is going in this direction, then again traveling through G2, it is incidenting on the mirror, and reflecting back from the mirror, it will come exactly on the same path. It will return in the same path. Again, from this edge of light, this edge of the plate G1, it will suffer a deviation vertically downwards. Are you getting the point? I am using double arrow for this line which is being reflected from the mirror M2. Now consider the light which is being reflected from the glass plate G1. This is going vertically upwards, again suffering reflection from M1, it will come vertically downwards. It will come here and it will also come in this same line vertically downwards. Now if you place here one eyepiece, on this eyepiece interference fringe will be formed. Why? Because two rays after suffering multiple reflection and refraction are coming in the same direction, meeting at a point in the space. So they may give you consecutive darkness and brightness according to the definition of interference. But you have to remember about this whole arrangement, I am using two glass plates G1 and G2. G1, this part is semi-silvered and I am considering the silvering is very thin. This part is semi-silvered, very thin but semi-silvered, but G2 is not. So then what is the role of G2? G2 actually acts as a compensator, that the ray is traveling first through the glass plate, then again here through the glass plate, again while coming back it is traveling through the glass plate and going downwards, and the first ray which is vertically upwards, this is also traveling through the glass plate. So I know the optical path is equals to geometrical path multiple mu, that is the refractive index. So both the rays, as they are traveling through the medium with same refractive index, and we can neglect the change in path while traveling through the glass. So as to neglect the path traveling through the glass for the first ray which was traveling through G1 glass plate, I have introduced another glass plate G2 so that I can neglect it, as the second ray also traveling through the same medium for same length. So the role of G2 is only compensator. But remember, the surfaces of G1 and G2 should be exactly parallel to each other. Otherwise the rays will not coincide. Mirror M1 should be exactly horizontal, mirror M2 should be exactly vertical, and the ray is exactly horizontal. I am again repeating this. First, one parallel beam of light is coming in this direction. It is suffering partial reflection, partial transmission. The reflected ray is going upwards, suffering reflection from the mirror, coming downwards and going towards the eyepiece. And the ray which was transmitted, it is going in this direction, being reflected from mirror M2, it is coming back, again getting reflected from the glass plate G1 which is semi-silvered, it is coming downwards. So in the downward direction towards the eyepiece, I am getting two rays which are interfering each other. So I should get interference fringe pattern on the eyepiece. As I am using the broad source of light, because of the spherical distribution of the wave fronts, I am expecting circular rings to be formed in the eyepiece, and the circular rings will be formed in this order. There will be consecutive darkness and brightness, one bright fringe, then one dark fringe, one bright fringe, then again one dark fringe. Then we can calculate that what is the reason that there will be interference formed. Interference can be formed because of the introduction of the path difference, and phase difference introduced because of the path difference. So how to calculate the phase difference between these two interfering rays? We can calculate it. First, let us consider this point is Q. So I am considering the first ray which is going towards upward direction, then going backward downward direction. In this downward direction, both the rays are traveling equal path. Both the rays from this point Q to the eyepiece, both the rays are traveling equal path. So I am not bothered about this path. I am bothered about the other path, that for the first ray, if this is the ray 1 and this is the ray 2, the first ray, it is going upwards and coming downwards. So let me assign that QM1 this is equals to x1, and let me assign qm2, this is equals to x2. Okay, so the path difference, this is going x1, then again x1, and this is going towards x2, again x2. So the path difference will be 2 into x1 difference x2. I have not written minus, I have written difference in order to make you understand that it may be plus or minus depending upon the arrangement of the mirrors. But if the glass plate is not very thin silvered, the silvering is wide enough, then for reflection additional path difference of lambda by 2 or additional phase difference of phi will be introduced because of introduction of Stokes law. So I should write here that if the silvering is not thin, if the silvering is not thin, then the path difference, this to be considered 2 into x1 difference x2 plus minus lambda by 2. Understood? So for simplicity of calculation, I am considering as of now the silvering is thin enough, and because of the thin silvering I am getting only path difference like this one. So let us proceed. So in next we will see that what are the conditions for maxima and minima. Conditions for maxima and minima, what it happens in case of interference, that you know. In case of interference, the path difference, if it is even multiple of lambda by 2, then you are getting a brightness. If it is odd multiple of lambda by 2, you are expecting a darkness. So you have written the path difference already. So from the path difference you can write, if twice x1 difference x2, this term becomes twice n into lambda by 2, that is even multiple of lambda by 2, then you are getting a bright fringe. Also in contrary, if you are getting twice x1 difference x2, if it is of the order of twice n plus 1 into lambda by 2, then you are getting a dark fringe. These are the conditions for maxima and minima. Now with analytical calculation, you can easily understand. With analytical calculation, if you are doing the calculation analytically, then you can find the conditions for maxima and minima. How to do the analytical calculation? First let us consider that first ray number 1, it is having the disturbance y equals to a1 e to the power I into omega t minus k into twice x2 plus lambda by 2. Similarly, the other ray is having the disturbance y2 equals to a2 e to the power I omega t minus k twice x1 plus lambda by 2. This one. Then the two rays are interfering, so the resultant will be equals to y equals to y1 plus y2. You try calculating it at home. This will be simple calculation, the simply algebraic calculation, and this will be added. Now you are considering a few terms. You may consider the term that let us consider k into twice x2 plus lambda by 2. This is equals to alpha 1, and k into twice x1 plus lambda by 2, this is equals to alpha 1 minus phi. A phase difference is introduced. I am considering there is a phase difference between the two rays, where phi, the phase difference, that will be equals to k into twice x2 plus lambda by 2 minus k into twice x1 plus lambda by 2. This one. After calculating this one, you will be getting the resultant disturbance y to be twice a cos phi by 2 e to the power I omega t minus alpha 1 plus phi by 2. This one. So how to calculate the intensity? That also you know. How to calculate the intensity? Intensity is always amplitude square. So from the intensity expression, you can write intensity will be equals to 4 a square cos square phi by 2. This one. So if you are getting this result, then from that you can easily calculate the conditions for maxima and minima. How to get the conditions for maxima and minima? For a maxima, this cos square phi by 2, this should get the maximum value of that. What is the maximum value of cos square phi by 2? That is 1. So what will be the condition for minima? Cos square phi by 2, that should be 0 in order to get I mean. So the condition for I max, that will be phi by 2, that will be equals to m pi, or from that condition phi is what? Phi is already written. You put it here, that phi equals to m pi, and the end result you will be getting, that is twice x1 difference x2, that will be equals to m lambda, that is twice m into lambda by 2. Again you got multiple of lambda by 2. Similarly for I mean minimum, you are getting phi by 2, that will be equals to 0, and putting the condition you will be getting twice x2 difference x1 will be of the order of twice m plus 1 into lambda by 2, that is odd multiple of lambda by 2. So from analytical result also you can derive the same result, or you can reach to the same result. Now let us proceed. Let us see the visibility. What is the expression for visibility in case of this Michelson interferometer? The expression for visibility, V equals to I max minus I mean divided by I max plus I mean. You got the condition for maxima and minima. In order to have the value of visibility V to be high visibility, I should have I minimum to be 0. If I get the minima to be exactly darkness, that is I minima is 0, then the value of visibility will be maximum, and the value of visibility then will be equals to unity, V equals to 1, its maximum value. So if a small question is asked from the interferometer that what is the condition that on visibility of the fringes for the interferometer will be maximum, then you can answer the minima should be exactly darkness. Now let us proceed. A simple calculation now for resolving power. Resolving power for the microscope and for grating we have already discussed in the last videos, and we have understood that resolving power is that if there are two maxima, in between two maxima there should be sufficient distance so that a small minima can form. in order to distinguish these two maxima separately. And in case of resolving power calculation, the resolving power calculation was lambda by d lambda. It was equals to resolving power. So finally we want to calculate the value of lambda by d lambda for this Michelson interferometer. So let us now consider that I am using two close wavelengths, very close wavelengths. One is lambda 1 and another is lambda 2, very close wavelengths. Then let us consider I have set a distance x in such a way. Okay, let me show you that difference, how the difference x is formed between the two mirrors, how I can change the separation between two mirrors. In this case, in the previous diagram, suppose this is the point source, one semi-silvered glass plate is here, another semi-silvered glass plate is there, and from the point source light is coming in this direction, it is being reflected upwards, vertically upwards in this direction. One is suffering transmission, then again through that it is being reflected by another mirror. This is M2 and there was a mirror M1, previous diagram. So if you are looking from this side, your eye is here, to you M2 mirror will be appeared here, as if the virtually M2 mirror is situated here, and this will be his virtual image. This will be M2, and if the distance between this point Q1 and M and Q2 and M, I am changing it, the distance between the real image M1 and the virtual image M2 will be changing, and the separation we are considering it to be x, that we are keeping M1 mirror fixed and changing the distance of M2 mirror from the point Q. That will change the separation between M1 and M2, or you can call it M1 prime or M2 prime, because it is the virtual image. If you call it M2 prime, no harm. Changing the position of M2 mirror, I can change the separation between these two mirrors. Effectively, that will change the path or path difference traversed by these two rays, and because of this change in path difference, I can call the separation between two mirrors are responsible for that, and separation between them, if it is x, it is actually responsible for the path difference or phase difference. So let us consider that I am having mth order fringe for lambda 1 at any particular point. So I can write it twice x for lambda 1 equals to m lambda 1. I am writing it as m lambda, considering lambda 1 equals to lambda. Similarly, I am writing, when I am using other wavelength to lambda 2, I am getting twice x for lambda 2 equals to m lambda 2. That can be written as m into lambda plus d lambda, where lambda 2 is written as lambda plus d lambda, because in between these two wavelengths, I told already that these are very close wavelengths. I am considering the difference in wavelength is d lambda. So I am considering lambda 2, that is equals to lambda plus lambda plus d lambda. This is the new consideration. So if they superpose on a particular point, I can equate the equations. So from the principle of superposition, I can write now m into lambda 2 minus lambda 1 differentiating these two, m into lambda 2 minus lambda 1, that will be equals to m d lambda. Concentrate, I am using these two equations only. From these two equations I am writing this one. Now this can be written as m plus half into lambda minus m lambda, that is lambda by 2. What I told already, that I should have one minima in between in order to distinguish between two maximas. So there should be at least that much path difference, that order of lambda by 2 a difference should be there. A small order of lambda by 2 will change a maxima to minima. Suppose for a particular path difference I am getting a maxima at a particular point, I am changing the path by amount lambda by 2, then the maxima will be converted into minima. So if I do it only that a small change in path difference of lambda by 2 being introduced, then only between two maxima I am supposed to get one minima, so that I can easily distinguish these two maxima. So this mathematical condition is to be satisfied for satisfying the minimum criteria of resolve or resolution. So what I am getting? I am getting m d lambda, this one m d lambda equals to lambda by 2. So resolving power equals to lambda by d lambda equals to twice m. This is the resolving power for Michelson interferometer. What is m? M is the order number. Last lesson of the day, that is to calculate wavelength of unknown light or determination of wavelength. I am introducing a term d to determine the difference x1 and x2. D is the separation between x1 and x2. First I am considering that M2 mirror is movable, and after moving M2 mirror a little to certain extent through a distance lambda by 2, the path difference between the interfering beams will change. I am writing it after moving M2 by lambda by 2, the smallest distance that can be detected by the interferometer, lambda by 2, I am changing it by small distance lambda by 2, then new path difference, that will be equals to the previous one, delta will be equals to previous one, x1 difference x2 plus lambda by 2. New path difference will be introduced. So consider now, first the pattern of mth order maxima at a particular point is defined. First, on a particular pattern I have defined mth order maxima. So what is the condition for maxima? 2 into x1 difference x2, that will be equals to twice n into lambda by 2. That is the condition for maxima. Now after changing the position of the mirror by lambda by 2, it has an effect on x1 difference x2 by the amount lambda by 2. So what will be its effect on twice x1 minus x2? Its effect will be lambda. So I call it initial position, I initial position. Initially this was the path difference, and on that particular point I was detecting a maxima, and this was the condition for maxima. Now what I am doing, I am changing the M2 mirror by little distance. I want to identify that because of the change of distance lambda by 2, it has an effect on x1 minus x2 to extend lambda by 2. So what will be its effect on twice x1 minus x2? Its effect will be lambda. So for the final fringe pattern, I can write twice x1 difference x2, this is final, will be equals to twice n into lambda by 2, twice n into lambda by 2, the previous one what I have already written, this one twice n into lambda by 2 plus lambda. I can rewrite this as n plus 1 into lambda. This final. So look, the previous one n lambda, now I am getting n plus 1 lambda. So what I can say, that after changing the M2 mirror, the next mirror, second mirror was M2, M2 mirrored by a distance lambda by 2, M2 mirror is moved by a distance lambda by 2, I have a change in order number of 1. So previously, where nth order maxima was at that particular point on the crosswire of the eyepiece, now I am getting n plus 1th order maxima on the eyepiece. So what I can say, after moving a position on the bright fringe is occupied by the next bright fringe. So let the mirror be moved through a distance x. Then the number of fringes crossing the crosswire received on the telescope will be x equals to n lambda by 2. So by measuring the number of orders, you can easily define the value of x, or in contrary, if you know that to what extent or how much M2 mirror has been moved, you can calculate the value of lambda by counting the number of fringes moving through the crosswire. I again repeat, this portion is very crucial. What we have seen, that after moving the M2 mirror by a distance lambda by 2, it can affect the interference fringe in such a fashion that on a particular, suppose this is my eyepiece, on the eyepiece on the crosswire, I am concentrating on third maxima. So after moving the M2 mirror by a distance lambda by 2, on that particular point, I should get fourth maxima, upper order number, n plus 1. So unitary method, I am saying now, forget about lambda by 2, all this thing. Lambda by 2 will introduce a change in order number 1. So x distance will introduce the change in order number by n. So what I will do, I will calculate the value of n, then how many order numbers are passing through the crosswire. Also I will calculate the value of x, that to what extent by moving the screw on the spectroscope or on the lens and scale arrangement, I have moved the mirror M2. Then I will put the values here in space of n and x, and I will be able to calculate the value of lambda, that is unknown wavelength, through Michelson interferometer. So this part was important, and with that I conclude the Michelson interferometer. The next video will be followed with Fabry-Perot interferometer, another new construction and another part of interferometry. So I can repeat the uses or applications of interferometer, especially Michelson interferometer. It is used for determination of unknown wavelength, measurement of distance or length. It can be used for studying the fine structure of spectral line. Also, it can measure the refractive index of any medium. Thank you.